Captain Lee Do-hyun stood on the bridge of his ship looking out at the stars. He had been doing this job for 15 years now, and Earth seemed so peaceful. His ship was small compared to the big alien warships he sometimes saw, but it was home. The other crew members worked quietly around him, checking their instruments and making sure everything ran smoothly. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Kim Soyeon from her station, "we're getting a message from Earth Command. It sounds important." Lee Do-hyun walked over to her station. The message was from Admiral Park Min-jae, the head of Earth's Stellar Defense. "Command." The Admiral's face appeared on the screen and he looked worried. "All ship captains return to Earth immediately," the Admiral said. "We have a situation. The Vorthak Empire has sent us a message. It's not good news." Lee Do-hyun felt his stomach tighten. The Vorthak were known throughout the galaxy as fierce warriors. They had conquered dozens of worlds and were always looking for new fights. Earth had been lucky to avoid them so far. "Set course for Earth," Lee Do-hyun told his crew. "Maximum speed." The journey back to Earth took 2 days. During that time, Lee Do-hyun tried to stay calm, but he couldn't stop thinking about what the Vorthak might want. Earth had been part of the Galactic Federation for over 200 years. Humans worked as diplomats and peacekeepers. They helped different alien species talk to each other instead of fighting. Most aliens thought humans were good at this because they were gentle and caring. When Lee Do-hyun's ship arrived at Earth, he saw something that surprised him. There were many more ships around Earth than usual. Not just human ships, but alien vessels from different Federation species. Something big was happening. Lee Do-hyun docked his ship and hurried to the meeting at Earth Command. The building was buzzing with activity. He saw Admiral Park Min-jae talking to several alien ambassadors. The Admiral looked tired and stressed. "Captain Lee," the Admiral called out when he saw him. "Good, you're here. We need all our captains for this meeting." The meeting room was packed. Lee Do-hyun recognized many of the human officers, but there were also aliens he had never seen before. Dr. Kim Soo-young, Earth's chief scientist who studied alien species, was sitting near the front. Commander Choi Hyun-woo, who worked in special operations, stood near the wall with his arms crossed. Admiral Park Min-jae stood up and the room became quiet. 3 days ago we received a message from the Vorthak Empire, the Admiral began. "They want us to surrender Earth and all humans to them. They say they want to study us. If we refuse, they will attack not just Earth, but every human colony in the galaxy." The room erupted in angry voices. Lee Do-hyun felt his heart racing. "The Vorthak wanted to take all of humanity prisoner. Why do they want us?" asked Captain Nam Seok-jin, who commanded a research vessel. Dr. Kim Soo-young stood up to answer. "The Vorthak have been watching us for years. They think humans are weak, because we prefer talking to fighting, but they're curious about our ability to make friends with other alien species. No other race in the galaxy can do what we do. So they want to cut us open and see how our brains work," said Commander Choi Hyun-woo. His voice was cold and angry. One of the alien ambassadors, a tall blue creature from the Zalani system, spoke up. "The Galactic Federation is meeting tomorrow to discuss this situation. We hope to find a peaceful solution." Lee Do-hyun didn't like the way the aliens said that. It sounded like they were already thinking about giving up Earth to avoid a war. "Admiral." Park Min-jae seemed to read his thoughts. "The Federation is scared of the Vorthak. Their fleet is huge and they've never lost a major battle. Some Federation species are already suggesting that sacrificing Earth might be better than fighting a war they can't win. They want to trade us like animals," said Captain Oh Jae-hoon, anger clear in his voice. "That's exactly what they want to do," replied the Admiral. "The Vorthak see humans as useful pets, gentle creatures that can be trained to help manage other species." Dr. Kim Soo-young pulled up a holographic display showing the Vorthak fleet. Lee Do-hyun stared at the images. There were thousands of ships, each one bigger than anything Earth had ever built. The Vorthak vessels looked like flying fortresses, covered in weapons and armor. "How many ships do they have?" asked someone from the back of the room. "Our intelligence suggests over 3,000 combat vessels," Dr. Kim Soo-young replied. "Plus, support ships, troop transports, and mobile battle stations. It's the largest war fleet anyone has seen in over a century." The room fell silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Earth's entire defense fleet had maybe 200 ships, and most of those were small vessels designed for exploration and rescue work, not fighting. What about our allies? Lee Do-hyun asked. Won't the Federation help us? The alien ambassador looked uncomfortable. The Federation Council is divided. Many species believe that avoiding a galactic war is more important than protecting one member world. They're going to abandon us, said Commander Choi Hyun-woo. It wasn't a question. Admiral Park Min-jae nodded slowly. It looks that way. The Vorthak have given us 1 week to decide. After that, they'll come and take what they want by force. Lee Do-hyun felt sick. Everything he had believed about the Federation, about humanity's place in the galaxy, was crumbling around him. So what do we do? Asked Captain Nam Seokjin. Admiral Park Min-jae looked around the room, making eye contact with each person there. When he spoke, his voice was different, harder, more dangerous than Lee Do-hyun had ever heard it. We prepare for war, the Admiral said, and we show them what humans really are. There was something in the Admiral's tone that made Lee Do-hyun's skin crawl, something cold and predatory. For just a moment, Admiral Park Min-jae didn't look like the gentle, diplomatic leader Lee Do-hyun had always known. Sir? Lee Do-hyun asked. The Admiral smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. Captain Lee, you and the other ship commanders need to know something. Earth's defense capabilities are not what they appear to be. We've been very careful about what we show the galaxy for the past 2 centuries. What do you mean? Dr. Kim Soo-young asked. I mean, Admiral Park Min-jae said, his eyes growing cold, that the Vorthak have made a terrible mistake. They think they're declaring war on sheep. They have no idea they're about to fight wolves. The meeting ended soon after that. But Lee Do-hyun couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. As he walked back to his ship, he wondered what secrets Earth had been keeping and why he suddenly felt more afraid of his own leaders than of the approaching enemy. The Vorthak fleet arrived in the solar system exactly 1 week later, just as they had promised. Captain Lee Do-hyun watched from his ship's bridge as thousands of alien warships dropped out of hyperspace. They were even more frightening in person than they had been in the recordings. Captain, Lieutenant Kim So-yeon called out, her voice shaking. The Vorthak are sending a message to all human ships. The main screen flickered and a massive alien face appeared. The Vorthak commander had gray skin, sharp teeth, and 4 red eyes that seemed to look right through the camera. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding metal. Humans of Earth, the Vorthak said. I am War Commander Thekvar. Your Federation has abandoned you, as we knew they would. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will make you suffer, before we take what we need from your bodies. The transmission ended, leaving an uncomfortable silence on Lee Do-hyun's bridge. Sir, Kim So-yeon whispered, what are our orders? Before Lee Do-hyun could answer, another voice came over the ship's communication system. It was Admiral Park Min-jae, but he sounded different than before, calmer, more confident. All human vessels, this is Admiral Park. Execute Protocol 7 immediately. Repeat, Protocol 7 is now active. Lee Do-hyun had never heard of Protocol 7. Lieutenant Kim, look up Protocol 7 in our database. Kim So-yeon's fingers flew over her controls. Sir, I can't find it. There's no Protocol 7 in our system. That's because you don't have clearance to see it, came a new voice from behind them. Lee Do-hyun spun around to see Commander Choi Hyun-woo stepping onto his bridge. But something was wrong. Choi Hyun-woo was wearing a different uniform, one Lee Do-hyun had never seen before. It was black with silver markings. Commander, what are you doing on my ship? Lee Do-hyun demanded. Captain Lee, I need you to stay calm and listen carefully, Choi Hyun-woo said. Your ship is not what you think it is. None of our ships are. Before Lee Do-hyun could ask what that meant, his ship began to change. The walls around him shifted and moved. Panels that had looked like simple storage compartments opened to reveal weapon controls. The comfortable bridge transformed into something that looked like it belonged on a warship. What's happening? Kim So-yeon gasped. Your ship was always a warship, Lieutenant, Choi Hyun-woo explained. We just hid it very well. Every human vessel has been designed this way. We've been preparing for this day for over 2 centuries. Through the main window, Lee Do-yeon could see other human ships changing too. Research vessels sprouted massive gun turrets. Cargo ships revealed missile launchers. Mining platforms unfolded into battle stations. In just a few minutes, Earth's small exploration fleet had become something entirely different. "This is impossible," Lee Do-yeon said. "How could we hide this from the Federation? From ourselves?" "Not from ourselves," Choi Hyun-woo replied. "From you. Captain Lee, you're a good man and a fine officer, but you were never meant to know about humanity's real military. Only certain people were told the truth." Another voice came over the communication system. This time it was someone Lee Do-hyun didn't recognize. "All vessels, this is General Yoon Tae-hyung, commander of Earth's True Defense Forces. Fourth-Act ships are moving into attack position. All captains prepare to engage the enemy." "General?" Lee Do-hyun looked at Choi Hyun-woo in confusion. "We don't have any generals. Earth doesn't have an army." "Yes, we do," Choi Hyun-woo said. "We've always had one. We just kept it secret from the galaxy, and from most of our own people." On the main screen, Lee Do-hyun watched as the first Vorthak ships moved toward Earth. They were huge, bristling with weapons, and they moved with the confidence of predators who had never known defeat. But something strange was happening. As the Vorthak ships approached what they thought were helpless human vessels, they were met by weapons fire that shouldn't have been possible. Earth's research ship, commanded by Captain Nam Seok-jin, suddenly revealed itself as a heavy battle cruiser, launching missiles that tore through Vorthak shields like paper. "How are we doing this?" Lee Do-yeon asked. Dr. Kim Soo-young's voice came over the communication system. "Captain Lee, this is Dr. Kim. I owe you an apology. My research into alien biology wasn't just scientific curiosity. For decades, I've been developing weapons designed specifically to fight each alien species we've encountered. The weapons your ship is now using were built to kill Vorthak." Lee Do-hyun felt dizzy. Everything he had believed about his own people was a lie. "Dr. Kim, you're a scientist. You study alien cultures to help us understand each other." "I do study alien cultures," she replied. "But I study them to learn how to fight them. Every diplomatic mission humanity has sent out was also a military intelligence operation. We've been mapping alien weaknesses for 2 centuries. The battle was intensifying around them. The Vorthak had expected to crush a few poorly armed human ships, but instead, they found themselves fighting enemies who knew exactly how to hurt them. Human weapons were designed to penetrate Vorthak armor. Human tactics exploited Vorthak blind spots. Human ships moved in ways that confused Vorthak sensors. "This is War Commander Thekvar," came the alien's voice over the communication channels. "What is this trickery? These are not the weapons of a peaceful species." Admiral Park Min-jae answered him. "War Commander, you made a mistake. You thought we were weak because we chose peace. But we didn't choose peace because we were weak. We chose it because we were strong enough to afford it." The Admiral's voice was broadcast to every ship in the system, human and alien alike. For 200 years, humanity has lived among the stars as diplomats and peacekeepers. Do you know why? Because we learned something that your warrior culture never understood. The strongest predator is the one that doesn't need to prove it. Lee Do-hyun watched in amazement as the battle unfolded. Human ships that had been disguised as cargo haulers were now revealing themselves as troop transports, launching fighters that moved like nothing the Vorthak had ever seen. Mining stations that had been operating in the asteroid belt for decades suddenly became weapons platforms, firing on Vorthak supply ships. "Captain," Kim So-yeon said, her voice filled with wonder, "look at this. Our ship's computer is showing me weapons I never knew we had. And there are files here about every alien species in the Federation. Military files." Choi Hyun-woo nodded. "Lieutenant, humanity has been studying every species we've met. We know their strengths, their weaknesses, their fears, and their tactics. We've been preparing for the day when someone would try to hurt us." "But why keep it secret from us?" Lee Do-hyun demanded. "Why lie to your own people?" "Because the galaxy had to believe we were harmless," Choi Hyun-woo explained. "If other species knew what we really were, they would have united against us long ago. Instead, they saw us as useful pets. gentle humans who could help them solve their problems without violence. Another explosion lit up the space around them as a Vorthak battleship was destroyed by weapons that had been disguised as a communications relay. The Vorthak are regrouping, Kim Soyeon reported. They're trying to retreat to a safer distance. Let them, came General Yoon Tae-hyung's voice. This was just the opening move. Now they know they're not fighting the enemy they expected. The real war is just beginning. Lee Do-yeon looked around his transformed bridge at the weapons that had been hidden in plain sight, at his crew members who were operating systems they had never seen before but somehow knew how to use. "Commander Choi," he said quietly, "what are we really?" Choi Hyun-woo's smile was cold and sharp, and, "We're what we've always been, Captain. We're predators. We just got very good at pretending to be something else." In the distance, the Vorthak fleet was pulling back, no longer confident of easy victory. They had come expecting to crush sheep, but they had found wolves instead. And the wolves had been preparing for this hunt for a very long time. War Commander Thekvar stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Half of his advance fleet was gone, destroyed by weapons that shouldn't exist. The humans had somehow hidden their true military strength from the entire galaxy for over 2 centuries. "How is this possible?" he growled to his officers. "Our intelligence said the humans were weak, peaceful creatures who avoid conflict." "Sir," one of his lieutenants replied nervously, "perhaps our intelligence was wrong." Thekvar struck the officer across the face with his armored hand. "Our intelligence is never wrong. We have been studying these humans for years. They spend their time talking, not fighting. They cry when their pets die. They write poetry about flowers." But even as he spoke, more reports came in. Human ships were appearing throughout the system, dropping their disguises and revealing weapons that cut through Vorthak armor like it was made of paper. Worse, they were using tactics that seemed designed specifically to counter Vorthak battle strategies. On Earth's surface, Admiral Park Min-jae stood in what had appeared to be a simple command center. Now the walls had moved aside to reveal a massive military complex that stretched deep underground. Officers wearing the black uniforms that Captain Lee Do-hyun had never seen before worked at stations monitoring battles across dozens of star systems. "Admiral," reported Colonel Bae Soyeon, "Operation Mousetrap is proceeding as planned. Vorthak forces are discovering our hidden assets in 17 different systems." "Good," Park Min-jae replied. "What about our people in Vorthak space?" "Commander, Choi's deep cover teams are beginning their mission now. Thousands of light years away in the heart of Vorthak territory, a man named Han Ji-woo sat in a cantina, drinking alien liquor. To anyone watching, he looked like a human merchant who had been trading in Vorthak space for years. The aliens around him knew him as a friendly trader who brought them goods from human worlds. What they didn't know was that Han Ji-woo was a major in Earth's intelligence service, and he had been mapping Vorthak military installations for over a decade. "Friend Han," called out a Vorthak soldier who often drank at the same cantina, "have you heard the news? My people have declared war on your world." Han Ji-woo put on a surprised expression. "War? But why? Humans have always been peaceful." The Vorthak soldier laughed. "That's why we want to study you. Your species is too weak to fight but too useful to simply kill. We will learn what makes you so good at making other species like you." "I hope your people will be merciful," Han Ji-woo said, pretending to be frightened. What the Vorthak soldier didn't see was the small device Han Ji-woo pressed under the table. Throughout Vorthak space, dozens of other humans who had been living as traders, diplomats, and cultural exchange students were pressing similar devices. Back on Earth, General Yoon Tae-hyung received confirmation that Phase 2 was beginning. He turned to Dr. Kim Soo-young, who was working at a station covered in biological data. "Doctor, are your special gifts ready?" Dr. Kim Soo-young nodded. "The biological agents are loaded and prepared for deployment. Each one is designed specifically for Vorthak physiology. They won't harm any other species. And if there are humans in the target areas, the agents are keyed to human genetic markers. Our people will be safe." This was the secret that Earth had kept hidden for 2 centuries. While humanity served as diplomats and peacekeepers, they had been conducting the most comprehensive intelligence operation in galactic history. Every human who left Earth had two missions: their official job and gathering information about potential enemies. Captain Lee Do-hyun was beginning to understand the scope of what his species had been doing. His ship's computers were now showing him files that revealed the truth about every human mission he had ever heard of. The cultural exchange program with the Zelani had been designed to study their military communications. The agricultural research mission to the Corvin worlds had actually been mapping their industrial infrastructure. The medical assistance program for the Thal people had been analyzing their biological weaknesses. "Lieutenant Kim," he said, to his communications officer, "how long have you known about this?" Kim Soyeon looked uncomfortable. "Captain, I didn't know about the military stuff, but I always wondered why our computers had so much information about alien psychology and behavior patterns. I thought it was just to help us understand them better." "It was to help us understand them," Commander Choi Hyun-woo said. "But understanding an enemy is the first step in defeating them." The battle around Earth was intensifying, but it was becoming clear that the Vorthak were losing. They had brought a traditional war fleet to fight what they thought was a primitive enemy. Instead, they were facing an opponent that had been preparing for this exact scenario for generations. Major Han Ji-woo's device had transmitted a signal to sleeping assets throughout Vorthak space. Humans who had been living ordinary lives as traders and researchers suddenly activated equipment they had been maintaining in secret. Vorthak supply depots began exploding. Communication relays went offline. Military bases found their computer systems failing. "This is impossible," Thekvar roared as reports poured in from across his empire. "How can humans be attacking our rear areas? We know where all of them are." But they didn't know. Earth had been sending people into space for 2 centuries, and not all of them had official jobs. Some were deep cover agents who lived normal lives until they were needed. Others were the children and grandchildren of early human settlers, people who appeared completely loyal to their alien neighbors. Captain Nam Seok-jin, whose ship had been disguised as a research vessel, was now leading a strike force toward the main Vorthak battle group. His weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, designed using biological research that Dr. Kim Soo-young had been conducting for decades. "Captain Nam," came General Yoon's voice over the communication system, "you are authorized to use the special ammunition." Nam Seok-jin's crew loaded missiles that contained Dr. Kim Soo-young's biological agents. When they struck Vorthak ships, the alien crews found themselves unable to breathe their own air. The agents didn't kill them immediately, but they became too sick to fight effectively. "What are these weapons?" Thekvar demanded, as his own ship was struck by one of the biological missiles. Around him, Vorthak soldiers were collapsing, gasping for air. Admiral Park Min-jae answered him over an open channel. "They're what happens when a species that understands biology decides to go to war. We've been studying your people for decades. War Commander, we know exactly how your bodies work and exactly how to make them stop working." The truth was spreading throughout the Vorthak fleet. The humans hadn't just hidden their military capability. They had spent 2 centuries conducting the most comprehensive intelligence operation in galactic history, learning everything there was to know about every species they might someday fight. "Sir," one of Thekvar's remaining officers reported, "we're receiving surrender offers from 17 different human ships." "Finally," Thekvar growled, "accept their surrender. We'll take what prisoners we can." But when Vorthak boarding parties tried to capture the surrendering human vessels, they found that it was another trap. The ships were rigged to explode, taking nearby Vorthak vessels with them. Captain Lee Do-hyun watched in horror and fascination as the battle unfolded around him. His own people, the gentle diplomats he had known all his life, were fighting with a ruthlessness that terrified him. "Commander Choi," he said quietly, "are we the good guys in this fight?" Choi Hyun-woo looked at him with something like sympathy. "Captain, the Vorthak came here to capture our entire species for experimentation. They want to cut open human children to see how our brains work. We're not the good guys. But we're not the bad guys either. We're just the guys who refuse to be victims." In the depths of space, the Vorthak fleet was falling apart. They had come expecting an easy conquest, but instead they had walked into a carefully planned trap that had been 2 centuries in the making. The gentle, peaceful humans were revealing themselves as the most dangerous predators the galaxy had ever seen. And this was only the beginning. The emergency session of the Galactic Federation Council was unlike anything in its history. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered in the great chamber on the neutral world of Nexus Prime, but their usual calm discussions had turned into panicked arguments. Ambassador Veltar of the Zelani delegation stood at the speaking platform, his blue skin pale with fear. The humans have revealed military capabilities that exceed anything we thought possible. Their hidden fleet is attacking Vorthak forces across 17 star systems simultaneously. That's impossible, declared Representative Krex of the Thal Assembly. We have been allies with humans for over a century. We would have known if they were building secret weapons. Admiral Park Minjae, attending the session via holographic projection from Earth, smiled coldly. Representative Krex, your people have been very helpful to us over the years. Every time we provided medical assistance to your worlds, our doctors learned more about Thal biology. Thank you for that. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Species that had welcomed human aid and friendship suddenly realized they had been unknowingly helping their potential enemies study them. The Vorthak fleet is in full retreat, reported another delegate. But humans are not just defending Earth. They're pursuing Vorthak forces back to their own territory. This was true. Captain Li Dohyun's ship, along with dozens of others, had left the solar system and was now hunting the retreating Vorthak fleet. His weapons, which had been disguised as scientific equipment just days before, were cutting through enemy ships with terrifying efficiency. Captain, Lieutenant Kim Soyeon reported from her station, "We're receiving a communication from the Vorthak command ship. War Commander Thekvar wants to negotiate. Put him through," Li Dohyun replied. The massive alien appeared on the main screen, but he looked very different now. His armor was damaged, one of his 4 eyes was swollen shut, and his voice wheezed from the biological agents that Dr. Kim Soo-young had designed. "Human Commander," Thekvar said, struggling to speak. We request a ceasefire. We will withdraw from your space and never return." Li Dohyun looked to Commander Choi Hyunwoo, who shook his head. "War Commander," Li Dohyun said. 2 days. "Ago, you came to our world planning to capture our entire species for experimentation. You said our deaths would be quick if we surrendered. Why should we be more merciful than you planned to be?" "Because," Thekvar coughed, green blood speckling his lips. "Because you are civilized. You are peacekeepers. This is not your nature." "You're wrong." Commander Choi Hyunwoo stepped forward so Thekvar could see him. "This is exactly our nature. We're predators, War Commander. We just learned to hide it very well." The transmission ended, and Li Dohyun turned to his crew. "All ships continue pursuit. No Vorthak vessel leaves the system." Meanwhile, deep in Vorthak territory, the covert operations that Major Han Jiwoo had triggered were causing chaos. Vorthak military bases found their computer systems infected with viruses that humans had been quietly installing for years. Supply ships exploded when their human mechanics activated hidden bombs. Communication networks failed as human technicians revealed their true loyalties. Dr. Jang Eunji sat in her laboratory on Earth, monitoring the biological weapons she had spent decades developing. Each alien species in the galaxy had different weaknesses, and she had studied them all. "General Yoon," she reported to the military commander, "the Vorthak biological agents are performing better than expected. Their immune systems are completely overwhelmed. Any collateral damage to other species? None. The agents are designed to be species-specific. Only Vorthak physiology is affected." This was the true horror of what humanity had accomplished. They hadn't just built hidden weapons and fleets. They had turned their greatest strength, their ability to make friends with other species, into their most dangerous weapon. Every friendship, every alliance, every act of kindness had also been an opportunity to gather intelligence. Captain Ryu Sunhee commanded what had appeared to be a humanitarian rescue ship. For years, she had responded to disasters across the galaxy, helping alien worlds recover from natural catastrophes. But each mission had also been an opportunity to map alien infrastructure and study their weaknesses. Now her rescue ship was revealed as a stealth assault vessel, equipped with weapons designed to destroy the exact types of installations she had spent years learning about. "Captain Ryu," came General Yoon's voice over her communication system, "you are authorized to proceed with Operation Clean Sweep. Target all Vorthak military installations in the Outer Rim." "Understood, General." Beginning assault on Vorthak. Base Omega 7. The Vorthak defenders never had a chance. Captain Ryu knew exactly where their shields were weakest, where their weapons were positioned, and how their computer systems worked. Her attack was surgical, precise, and devastating. Back in the Federation Council chambers, the delegates were beginning to understand the full scope of what humanity had done. "They've been spying on all of us," whispered Ambassador Veltar. "Every human diplomat, every cultural exchange student, every medical team, they were all gathering information about us." Admiral Park Minji's holographic image nodded. "Not spying, Ambassador. Learning. There's a difference. We genuinely wanted to help your people and be your friends. But we also knew that someday, someone like the Vorthak would threaten us. So, we prepared. By treating us like potential enemies," accused Representative Krex. "By treating you like what you are," Park Minji replied calmly. "Different species with different interests. We hoped we would never need to use what we learned, but we weren't willing to bet our survival on hope alone." The Federation delegates were realizing something terrifying. If humanity could hide this kind of military capability, if they could conduct intelligence operations on this scale without anyone noticing, then they were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. "What do you want from us?" asked Ambassador Veltar. "Nothing different than before," Park Minji answered. "We want to continue being your friends and allies. We want to help maintain peace in the galaxy. But now you know that our offer of friendship comes with a promise attached." "What promise?" Park Minji's smile was cold and sharp. "The promise that anyone who threatens humanity will discover what we're really capable of. In space, the last of the Vorthak fleet was being systematically destroyed. War Commander Thekfar's command ship tried to escape into hyperspace, but human ships that had been disguised as merchant vessels were waiting for them at every jump point." "This is Captain Oh Ji-hoon," came a voice over the Vorthak communication system. "War Commander, you're surrounded. Surrender now and we'll make your death quick." It was the same offer Thekvar had made to humanity just days before. The irony was not lost on him. "How?" he gasped into his communicator. "How did you learn to fight like this?" Captain Lee Do-hyun answered him. "We learned from you, War Commander, from you and every other species in the galaxy. You taught us that the universe is full of predators, so we decided to become the apex predator." The final battle was brief. The Vorthak, bred for honorable combat between equals, had no answer for humanity's ruthless efficiency. Within hours, their entire invasion fleet was destroyed. But the real shock came when the Federation Council realized that this had all been just the opening move. Humanity wasn't just defending themselves. They were sending a message to every species in the galaxy. The message was simple. We are not the gentle peacekeepers you thought we were. We are something far more dangerous. And now that you know what we can do, you have a choice to make. You can continue to be our friends, or you can discover what happens to our enemies. Throughout the galaxy, alien species that had known humans for centuries suddenly found themselves looking at their human friends and neighbors with new eyes, wondering what other secrets the most dangerous species in the galaxy might be hiding. 6 months after the Vorthak invasion, the galaxy had changed completely. Captain Lee Do-hyun stood on his ship's bridge, but everything felt different now. His vessel no longer pretended to be a simple exploration ship. The weapons were visible. The armor plating gleamed in the starlight, and every alien ship that saw them changed course to avoid getting too close. "Captain," Lieutenant Kim Soyeon reported, "we're receiving a communication from the Federation Council. They want to schedule another diplomatic meeting." Lee Do-hyun almost laughed. Diplomatic meetings had a very different meaning now. When humans attended Federation gatherings, other species listened much more carefully to what they had to say. "Tell them we'll send a representative," he replied. "But make it clear that Admiral Park will be attending in person this time, not by hologram." The difference was important. Before the war, humans had been content to participate remotely, appearing as peaceful holographic images. Now they came, in person, aboard ships that made it very clear they were not helpless anymore. On Earth, the planet's true nature was finally being revealed. The underground military complexes that had been hidden beneath peaceful cities were now operating openly. General Yoon Tae-hyung walked through command centers that monitored human operations across the galaxy, no longer needing to hide what humanity had become. "General," Colonel Bae Soyeon reported, "we're receiving applications from 17 different alien species. They want to join our mutual defense agreements." "What kind of agreements are they offering?" "Full technology sharing, intelligence cooperation, and military alliance. They're offering us things they never would have shared before." General Yoon nodded. Fear, it seemed, was a much more effective diplomat than friendship had ever been. "Doctor." Kim Soo-young was in her laboratory, but she was no longer pretending to study alien biology for peaceful purposes. Her research was now openly focused on developing new weapons and defensive measures. Alien species that had once welcomed her medical assistance now realized that every time she had helped them, she had also been learning how to hurt them. "Doctor," her assistant asked, "what should we do about the request for medical aid from the Corvin worlds? Their population is suffering from the plague that's been spreading through their colonies." Dr. Kim Soo-young considered the question. The old humanity would have rushed to help without thinking about the consequences. The new humanity, the one that no longer hid its true nature, had to think more carefully. "We'll help them," she decided, "but this time they'll pay for our assistance. Full access to their biological research, complete medical records of their species, and a mutual defense treaty. And if they refuse, then they'll learn what happens to species that don't cooperate with humanity." The transformation wasn't just military, it was philosophical. For 2 centuries, humans had pretended that they were just another species trying to get along in a peaceful galaxy. Now they were openly acknowledging what they had always been, the most dangerous predators in known space. President Moon Jae-hyun, Earth's leader, stood before the Federation Council for the first time since the Vorthak invasion. The Great Chamber was fuller than it had ever been. Every species in the galaxy wanted to hear what humanity's leader had to say. "Friends," she began, and the word carried a different weight now. "The events of recent months have changed our relationship. Some of you feel betrayed by humanity's deception. Others are afraid of what we might do next. Both reactions are understandable." The alien delegates listened in silence. No one interrupted human speakers anymore. "But I want to make something clear," President Moon continued. "Humanity's nature hasn't changed. We are still the same species that chose diplomacy over conquest, cooperation over domination. The difference is that now you know we chose these things from a position of strength, not weakness." Ambassador Veltar of the Zalani stood up carefully. "President Moon, your people lied to us for centuries. You pretended to be harmless while studying us like laboratory subjects. How can we trust you now?" President Moon's smile was cold, but not unkind. "Ambassador, you can trust us because you now understand the consequences of betraying that trust. Before you thought we were weak. You might have been tempted to take advantage of us if the opportunity arose. Now you know better." This was the new reality that the galaxy was struggling to accept. Humanity was offering the same friendship and cooperation they always had, but now it came with an unspoken threat. "Betray us, and you'll discover what we're really capable of." Captain Nam Seok-jin, whose ship had been disguised as a research vessel, was now openly commanding a battlecruiser. His mission was to escort human diplomats to a trade negotiation with the Thal Assembly. But everyone understood that he wasn't there to provide protection. He was there to provide emphasis. "The Thal are offering us much better terms than they did before the war," his diplomatic passenger, Ambassador Lee Minho, reported. They're willing to share technology they've never offered to any other species. Fear is a powerful motivator, Captain Nam replied. They've seen what happened to the Vorthak. The Vorthak Empire no longer existed. After their fleet was destroyed, other species that had been conquered by the warrior race had risen up in rebellion. The Vorthak worlds were now divided among a dozen different peoples who had learned that the galaxy's greatest bullies could be defeated. But the Vorthak's fate served as a warning to everyone else. This is what happened to species that threatened humanity. Complete destruction, not just of their military, but of their entire civilization. Major Han Jiwoo had returned from his deep cover mission in former Vorthak space. He stood in General Yoon's office giving his report. Sir, the other species are terrified. They're asking each other the same question over and over. If humans could hide this much from us, what else don't we know about them? What else indeed? General Yoon replied. How are our other deep cover operations proceeding? All active, sir. We have assets embedded in every major civilization in the galaxy. If any of them decide to follow the Vorthak's example, we'll know about it long before they act. This was perhaps the most frightening revelation for the galaxy's other species. The humans they had known as friends, neighbors, and colleagues were still there, still friendly, still helpful. But now everyone wondered which of them might be something more than they appeared. Commander Park Ji-sung represented the new generation of human officers, the ones who had grown up knowing the truth about their species' capabilities. Unlike the older generation who had learned to hide their predatory nature, Park Ji-sung and his peers had never needed to pretend to be sheep. Commander, General Yoon addressed him, you'll be taking the new exploration fleet into the unknown regions. Your mission is to make contact with any alien civilizations we haven't encountered before. Rules of engagement, sir? The same as always. Be friendly, be helpful, be diplomatic, but make sure they understand what they're dealing with. Understood, sir. The galaxy was learning to live with a new reality. Humanity was still offering friendship, still providing aid and assistance, still working to maintain peace between different species. But now everyone understood that human kindness came from strength, not weakness. Captain Lee Do-hyun received orders to patrol the border regions where new alien species were sometimes encountered. His job was the same as it had always been. Make first contact, establish peaceful relations, and gather information about potential new allies. The difference was that now everyone knew what that information might be used for. Captain, Lieutenant Kim Soyeon asked as they approached a system where unknown alien signals had been detected, what do we tell them about us? Lee Do-hyun thought about the question. 6 months ago, he would have introduced humanity as peaceful explorers seeking friendship among the stars. Now he knew better. We tell them the truth, he decided. We're humans. We want to be their friends. And if they're wise, they'll want to be ours. The final lesson of the Vorthak War was spreading throughout the galaxy. In a universe full of predators, the most dangerous ones are those who are smart enough to hide what they really are. Humanity had spent 2 centuries pretending to be harmless, while becoming the apex predator of known space. Now they no longer needed to pretend. Sheep had finally taken off their masks, and the galaxy would never be the same.